7395.3 to 7398.5. Captain's Level 6 Log. Stardate 7395-0830. The Saxon has entered retrograde and reversed directions on our way back to Mars. End of Level 6 Captain's Log. Corridor outside holodeck. 1530 hours. It had been a week since I ran the scenario of the T-38 pilot from the 20th century on the Halo system. Since then, we had a new section for the holodeck. I wanted to try the same scenario in the holodeck. Computer, Steinway Test Pilot Series 1. Steinway Test Pilot Series 1 ready to use. You may enter. Holodeck 1532. The main difference, of course, as the doors opened, I could already see the tarmac of the Air Force Base as I walked out. The sound was just as loud, however, it was different. The jet noise. These were actual photons and sound enhancements that were physically real, but not loud enough. I was not in a scenario where that I was laying on a bed. The photons are, however, as they would be in a real world. It had been a week ago now when Commander Fowler had explained to me about the difference between the Halo system and the holodeck system. I can now realize that if something happened here, even with the protections, if I fell, I would hit the ground, the floor, and unless there was a padding, I would be injured if I fell too hard. On the Halo system, any impacts would probably not make a bruise. It would simply be like having a dream. I was here, testing the differences. The scenario was not just to have fun, it was part of my work. Even so, this was my off-duty time, so I could feel better about having fun. Another difference with the holodeck was that if anyone wanted to come in and share the scenario with me, they could enter, but there was a limit. We had made it so that only 5 to 10 people could enter the holodeck at a time. In the Halo system, there was no limit. I had entered off the side of the tarmac and I walked towards the T-38. There was no backseat pilot as there was before. I looked into the darkness interior of the hangar where the two individuals were standing. They were talking to someone. As I got closer, I could tell it was Commander Fowler. Only in this scenario, he was in a flight suit, and as I walked up to him, I saw the rank was a silver oak leaf. Lieutenant Colonel? Hello. Colonel, how's it going? I said. How's it going, Lieutenant? Said the pretend Lieutenant Colonel. I glanced at his name tag in silver letters on brown leather. It said Boyington. Colonel Boyington, is it? I asked. Well, sir, today it is. It keeps me from forgetting that it's a simulation. Yes, I replied, and also the fact that experience inside the scenario should have the proper rank. That said, why are you a lieutenant colonel? Do you know how to fly that well? I asked. Well, rank is not always about experience. Let's go fly and find out, said Fowler. We both walked quickly to the waiting T-38. I took the front seat and watched Commander Fowler, Colonel Boyington, enter the rear seat and strapped in. I had, since the last time, figured out how to start the T-38. and I began pre-flight in the starting of the engines. "Clear," I yelled. "I'm glad you know how to start this thing, Lieutenant," said Fowler. "After this flight," I said, "we'll be ready for a shower and relaxation, I'm sure." "Are you going to let me fly?" asked Fowler. "No, I'm going to fly this thing off the ground. Maybe when we get in the air. We will wait and see." "Tower, 238 at 22 for departure." And I taxied towards the runway. We waited while a helicopter came hovering in. "Talon 1-3, cleared for takeoff on 22. "What kind of helicopter is that?" asked Fowler. "Hell, I don't know." "You're asking me?" "I know this is a T-38. I pulled our jet onto runway and set the brakes, pushed the throttle up to red line, released the brakes, and let the jet fly down the runway and pulled back gently on the stick, and we jerkily entered the air. And finally, after about 169 knots, I felt satisfied and safe to lift the gear up, hitting the handle, activating the gear. I put it into full afterburner and brought it up passing 259 knots, and I slowly pulled the throttle back and did a 90 degrees 0G pull around. Zero. No longer worried about how Boyington was going to do in the back seat with the 0 G's. "How's it going back there, Boyington?" Fowler said. "No G's?" "No, I noticed. Not same as Halo Sim," I said. "I will level out at level 11 and let you take the stick. Still up for it?" "Roger, I think," said Fowler. "You have the controls," I said. I allowed Fowler to take the stick in. He was a bit jerky, but he started to get the hang of it. "I'm going to advise a reduction in rank, probably lieutenant, junior grade. Not more," I said. "Well, at least it's not ensign," said Fowler. "Excuse me," I said. "That's the same thing as lieutenant junior grade. The butter bar?" "Same as you then, right, sir?" said Fowler. That's true, but I think I need more rank. I'm going to be requesting that I become a captain." "Well, that's a bit of a leap for the Air Force. You're a captain." "No, silly," I said. "The captain and the Air Force is 2 silver bars, and the equivalent in the Navy would be a lieutenant." "I know that, sir. I'm just kidding with you," said Fowler. "Just dawned on me," I said, "that looking down on the ground, see down there, that's where the base is, where we took off. If someone enters the holodeck, are they going to enter down there, or would they enter and fall to the ground?" "We've been over this, sir," said Fowler. "If they enter the scenario, they will be on the ground. They may hear our jet up here. They may look up and see us flying up here, and then we can look down and we can see them down there. But we're way too high. Like I keep telling you, sir, like the real world, if we were really in a jet, that's the way it would be. This is just photons." "Okay, Fowler. I'm not an idiot, but it's hard to get in that frame of mind. When we're in the Halo system, it's all in the mind, so it doesn't matter that much. But where in this jet aircraft sitting here, somehow floating in the air, but yet still in the holodeck, it gets confusing for me. I'm sorry." "You're not the only one, sir. It confuses most people," said Fowler. "Can we land now?" he said. Okay. Cannon Tower, Talon 1. Talon 1-3, requesting entrance for landing. Over. Talon 1-3, clear direct. In on 2-2, came the voice from the tower. Talon 1-3, Roger, request entrance to active runway. Over. 1-3, you're clear. 2-2 is the active. Talon 1-3, Roger. I entered the pattern from the left and did a dogleg left turn and entered the pattern for landing. Remember, keep the speed up, said Fowler. Spoken like my instructor the last time I about pancaked it. I'd say not under 150 if you ask me, said Fowler. I think we're too high, so the speed is not going to be an issue. It's not going to be a problem. It's going to be too fast, I said. I pushed the nose over, and I was happy that we had overshot our upwind course because it gave us a lot more room. I remembered that at the last moment to put the gear down. We were about 200 knots, and I was worried. But I put out the spoilers, and I brought it in just fine. Great landing, said Fowler. You must have put in a lot of hours, sir. Thanks. 24 hours in the last week. 24. Back on the ground, we taxied and parked, and we both climbed out of the jet. Aren't you glad that the safeties are on? I said. Indeed. Disappointed there, though, about the G's, said Fowler. Yeah. Uniform change, I said, and I'll meet you back outside the holodeck. I watched as Fowler went into the dark confines of the hangar. Captain's quarters, 1800. Captain, this is the bridge. Lieutenant LeBrook, over. Go ahead, LeBrook. We're encountering some sort of debris. I think you should come take a look at it, over. On the way, I said. Made it to the bridge. I was out of uniform. I had on an old Earth-style t-shirt in black, and there were dog tags hanging from my neck as I entered the bridge. Report, I said. Just monitoring. We're in retrograde, and so what do you do? She asked. We do nothing but monitor for the moment, Lieutenant, I said. Your assessment is spot on. We're in retrograde to Mars for a few days, and we can't stop the process now, unless the ship is in danger, of course. I looked around at the crew, realizing it's a totally different set of people, different shift. Too few people here. LeBrook, Keter, communicator. Ensign Tyson, to the bridge. This is Lieutenant LeBrook. You should be here, Tyson. Bridge out. I was going to ask you about that, I said. He's on the roster, so he should be here, right? Yeah. Yes, on it. As you can tell by the fact that I called him just now. To the bridge, she said nervously. Bridge, this is Tyson, on the way. Ensign Tyson, on the way, over. Just then the ship jolted a little bit. I went to the operations panel. Engineering, this is the captain, over. Engineering, go. Any reports on damage, your section, over? Nothing so far, Captain, over. I would advise to get some androids on an EVA at some point, over. Can't do that, sir. We're underway and in retrograde, I do believe. Over. Right, I said. Carry on. Bridge. Out. Tyson exited the turbo lift and came to where I was standing at his station. Ensign continued to monitor the situation with the debris that we are encountering. Aye, aye. said Tyson, out of breath. It looks rather generic so far, sir, said Tyson. As in large, small chunks? What? I asked. Actually, it is quite small. However, in regards to our speed, anything at all is going to be large enough to do some damage, unless we have a way to deflect it. Engineering, this is the captain, over. Engineering, go. How much shielding do we have for this debris, over? Standard plasma, some ionization shielding, unless it's a very large amount of, depending on the angle of the debris. We should be fine. The damage that we take from micro meteoroids, for example, or meteors is quite different from debris like what we're seeing. Roger that. Bridge out. Captain, said Tyson, the debris field is clearing now. Roger that. Take note of the location of the encounter and add it to the log. Aye, aye, sir. LeBrook, you have the bridge. I returned her salute as I headed for the turbo lift. I stopped short, spun around, and said, Tyson, you're officially on this shift, by the way. Aye, sir, he said, not looking too happy about it. I exited the bridge. Captain's quarters, 1835. It was too early to go to bed, so I changed in my regular uniform and I headed for the officer's lounge. It was 1900 by the time I got there. Lieutenant Hawks and Commander Strawn were sitting at a table together, still in uniform, even though they were off shift. I walked over and said, Mind if I join you? Not at all, said Commander Strawn. I don't know if you two were aware, but we encountered some debris. They called me to the bridge. No worries. So that's what that little shuddering sound was, said Commander Strawn. Someone should have notified me, right? That would be your people in engineering, right? But you're off duty, I said. Commander Strawn rose from the table and saluted and hurriedly went to the door. Well, I was going to tell him, I said, not to worry. It's been logged, and as far as I know, no damage. He thinks of this ship as his baby, sir, so go figure, said Hawks. Indeed, I can understand. An engineer's frame of mind. But he's off duty. Well, anyway. Well, if there's nothing else, I'm going to go find something at the bar, I said, getting to my feet. What's up, Captain? Said the Guinan hologram at the bar. Just another day on the Saxon. I almost want some real alcohol after the things that I went through today. But I better keep it anyway. No, on second thought, give me a pina colada with actual, real alcoholic rum. This time, don't look at me that way, Guinan. You're just a hologram. And I'm off duty. In uniform, sir. Also, this will be the last of the alcoholic rum that you had operations to bring on board. Noted. I won't tell if you won't. Mum's the word, sir, said the Guinan. This being the last of the rum won't matter anyway. There's a sultry tan-skinned female with black shoulder-length hair coming up to the bar next to me. Can I have a sip of your drink? She said. Well, it's real alcohol, I said. I'm one of the new people from the Lexington, sir. The name's Corinthos, Aurora Corinthos, at your service. And I overheard, that's the last of the rum? Yeah, well, I should be out of uniform when I'm drinking alcohol. Please don't let it rub off on you. I'll try not to, sir, she said. I'm a lieutenant junior grade, by the way. I said, yes, I'm the one that brought this rum on board, actually, so we're about to finish it off. Only synthahol after this. Red, blue shirt, green shirt? I asked. I'm a yellow neck, sir. Engineering section. Thinking about asking for a change to either science section or maybe medical. I'm not sure at this point. I'll pass the word to Commander Fowler and we'll see what we can do. If you really want it. So you're on call now, right? That's what the roster shows, yes, sir. Well, I ordinarily pick all my people. I count the Lexington incident as a special case. Lexington incident? She asked. Yeah, never mind, Lieutenant, I said. Bartender, I would like what he's having, said Aurora Corinthos. We could finish these in my quarters. We could continue talking, I said to her. So you can change your uniform. Get out of the uniforms. I'm the captain, either in uniform or out of it, I said. You're about to be a member of my crew. However, you're not a crew member yet. I guess we can have a dance or two here in the lounge. That's probably more appropriate anyway. Dance, yeah, we can do that. And finish off your rum. The rest of my evening was slow dancing with Aurora. I did not care what time it was. It was time for me to go to my room and find my bed alone. I exited the officer's lounge and started walking down the corridor, running into the ship's counselor once again. Hi, Mom, I said with a smile on my face. Lipstick on your captain's collar. Having fun, are we? Said Linda Kyrell. No, just a little dancing is all. Oh, too late to the lounge. Maybe next time, she said. Need any counseling? Not tonight, I said. I'm headed for my bed. Okay, son. I'll talk to you later. We both giggled and I continued on toward my room. Much later. Captain's office. 7398.4, 10:15. Captain's level 5 log. Stardate 7398.4 at 10:15 hours. We have ended our journey to Mars and we are entering Mars orbit. End of Captain's level 5 log. Captain Steinway's personal log. Stardate 7398, 10:16. I'm kind of blue. The rest I will tell to the moon, of course. A Martian moon, perhaps, but we're in Mars orbit and maybe we'll have word from Lexington soon. I hope. End of Captain's personal log. Bridge. Captain on the bridge, said Commander Fowler. At ease, everyone. I said this as I traded places with the Fowler at the captain's chair. I pushed the button for ship-wide communications. Now hear this. Now hear this. We've been waiting for this day for quite some time now, and there will be shore leave for all. My advice is to take it. Captain Steinway out. Still no word from the Lexington, sir, said Commander Fowler. Commander, I said, I do not expect that we will have word from the Lexington. From Starfleet, yes. Lexington, no. I can't be the only one that's concerned. I'm sure I'm not. Well, anyone that saw the disappearance, I think, had the same idea, said Fowler. Well, hold out some hope there. Wait for it. There's still a chance. This is new science. Much of it is classified above what most people have. We really don't know more than that. You didn't know anyone on the Lexington, did you, sir? I asked. No, no one over there. I suppose that's a good thing, I said. I hear you've been seeing Aurora Corinthos, said Fowler. Nah, number one. What did you hear? Who told you? Sorry, sir. She may have mentioned it. You mentioned the Lexington and having people over there. I believe she had someone of the female connection, if you know what I mean. She's kind of, well, both ways. We shouldn't be talking about this, but anyway, you asked the question, said the commander, then looking the other way. Indeed, number one. I used sign language telling him to zip his lip. Maybe another training flight in the T-38, said Fowler. Maybe, I said. I looked over to see Tabitha Green standing near Ops. She had been listening, and she looked at me with a frown on her face. I looked at the view screen instead. On the view screen was a large image of the red planet. Captain, said Fowler, nodding to me, and then he was pointing to my office door. I nodded back to him, and then I was on my feet. Commander Green, you have the bridge. Aye, Captain, she said. I walked with Fowler to my office door, and we went inside, making sure the door was closed. What is it, number one? I asked. It's been a hectic voyage so far, sir, but, well, I think I screwed up back there. Sorry. Right, I said. As the second in command, I'm supposed to stop certain things from happening to help you in your job. I didn't do that. Most recently with our conversation on the bridge. I'm sorry, sir. It may be, number one, that I'm getting too attached to certain members of the crew. A bit of crew rotation may be in order beyond what we've already accomplished, I said. Yeah, well, said Fowler, a bit of shore leave can sort all of that out, if you know what I mean. Without getting into personal details, number one, I think Aurora is seeing someone else. Would that be you? I asked. No, it's not me, sir. We've talked, we've danced, and I believe you have danced as well. That's as far as it went for me, and I do believe she has a relationship possibly with Strahan from the Lexington. That I moved to second shift operations, of course. First, I've heard of her having anything to do with Strahan, I said. I think that after shore leave, we may swap out Commander Green with Commander Strahan in operations on the first shift. What do you think? I'll talk to Commander Green and see what she has to think about that one. We'll try to keep any personal details out of it, of course. Of course, number one. And that's at the root of the problem, isn't it? Right, sir. We should not fraternize so much with the members of the crew, most especially with the crew that we share bridge duty with. Also, you need to make it a point to give Strahan shore leave without any exception. He's really had a rough go of it, said Fowler. He took the words right out of my mouth. Number one, Starfleet Mars is going to watch over the ship when we're all gone, so no problem there, I said. I think that about covers it, said Fowler. We walked back onto the bridge. Commander Fowler walked over to Tabitha Green and said, "Could you step into the captain's office with me for just a moment?" Tabitha said, "Yes, no problem." She seemed to stare at me uncertainly as she passed, and I gave her a nod of assurance that there's no problem. They were not in my office very long, and when they came out, Commander Green was smiling and they were joking about something. My first officer was top-notch. After Tabitha Green walked by me, smiling and patting me on my knee, I think I looked a bit worried because now I was wondering what had my first officer told her. I made eye contact with Commander Fowler and shrugged my shoulders, questioning what happened. He whispered in my ear that Tabitha Green wanted second shift ops position, so she's getting what she wanted. If Commander Strahan stays on the ship, he can take the ops in first shift. That's good, number one. Commander Green, take the con position and pilot us into the port, I said. Tabitha moved forward to the con, or more rightly, the ops panel, and Ensign Carey was on her feet, moving out of the way. "Ensign Carey, front and center," said Fowler. Carey stood in front of Fowler, saying, "Sir, I would like to be relieved for a moment." "Sure, go take care of what you need to do. Take care of yourself," said Fowler. "Aye, sir," said Carey, smiling. This is the end of Trek 7395 to 7398.5. I am Eugene, son of Douglas, the author of this work. Thanks for listening.